This is the Bar Stewards Enquiry.
Right? You're talking absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
In what way?
You were an underachiever in life. I saved your bacon one time. You were gone.
You handled that well. I couldn't save you. But you did the right thing.
But that's why you don't know anything about racing, John.
I didn't say I do.
Right?
I'm saying that.
What have you contributed to racing? You're one of these take-out merchants. Take out all you can.
And a huge festive warm welcome to the Bar Stewards Enquiry Christmas Eve special podcast, looking at the racing for Boxing Day, an absolute feast for the racing fans out there. Good field sizes, really good cards actually for a Boxing Day, a lot better than probably what we sometimes normally get. And joining me on this show is the three best for the job really for Boxing Day. It's John Lang and Andy Richmond. Good morning, chaps.
Good morning. I nearly said good evening, but it is morning.
It's an unusual time for recording Christmas Eve, but yeah. And like as for new listeners that may be tuning in for the first time, we have a best bets round where we go 1.2.3 points for our three best bets over the festive period. We might have some on the 27th. We might have some on Boxing Day, but that's the best bets round. And then at the end we'll discuss the televised action on Boxing Day, giving our thoughts and pluses and minuses for maybe pointers for you to go with your own choices and think, well, they don't like my choice, so you may then not back it, or you may then have double on it. Whatever. Yeah, but this is what we're here to do, and hopefully it'll be a corking show. I've got my gin at 11:20. It's a producer. What is it? A Cheltenham special. This is a Gold Award winning gin from Cheltenham as well. So if anyone wants to know the name of that, Steeplechase it's called. 45%. An absolute belter.
Let's hope you don't fall at the first thing.
Yeah, it's usually the last. Right, so we'll get on to the best bets round straight away. This is the 1.2.3 points. John, kick us off.
My bells are jingling in anticipation.
You did say bells, didn't you, John?
Yes.
Yeah, at least that was a good connection.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so pleased to be back in audio as well, you know.
Yeah, we were videoed the other night. Terrible. Yeah.
We don't have the face for video, really. But,
No.
My first bet on Boxing Day, regular listeners will be familiar with. This is Copperhead in the 313 at Wincanton. I tipped this up last time. The same reasons apply here, really. He's on a cracking mark for hurdles, which is theoretically £8 better than last time when I fancied him with the kids' claim taken into account. Pointless claiming here if you're not off him, that's a qualifier, and you've got to be a bit wary. Last time out, he was just basically given a skull round, but he kept on well into the straight, and I think at the likely price, I think he's worth one more spin up, 1 point win.
Yeah, I don't think he was totally dead, John, last time. You know,
No.
It might look he lost the plot.
Just here in again, didn't he?
He lost the plot at a crucial part of the race, and that's where I think, you know, I don't think he's in the ballpark of let's you know, he's gone. I don't think that. So yeah, I did watch him closely last time because you mentioned him last time. So yeah. I don't think he's totally gone. So yeah, it's an interesting selection, and it's 20-1 with Port Vale.
That'll do quite nicely.
Lovely stuff. Are you on the nose with that one?
Yeah, I think he'll either win or flop again, and if he flops again, he's out.
Yeah. Okay. 1 point win at 20s with the Port Vale Harlot. Yes. After some complaints we had.
You need to stop saying that about a self-made woman, like.
I know. Well, this is it in these times, you know.
I mean, back in the day, you know, she used to work in the Stoke branch of Ann Summers, you know, and she actually developed the very popular in the Stoke area crotchless shell suit.
I'm picturing that crotchless shell suit. Yeah, they might do one for the back passage as well, you know, so you never have to take it off.
Yeah, come on, it's Christmas.
Pre-watership here.
Anyway, yeah, for our younger viewers. Right.
Santa's on his way.
Yeah, Apple clean rating is about to go. So we'll move on. Andy Richmond.
I'm going to go. It's not going to be a bet on Boxing Day, actually. It's going to be. I did warn you.
Yes.
It's going to be on the 27th. So One of my favourite races of the year, the Welsh Grand National. Looks like it might not be running in the slop this year.
No.
The going report from Chepstow was a worryingly good to soft, good in places. But I'm going to go with a horse who cost me a bit of dough last year, actually, called Ask Me Early, because I didn't get a run for my money last year because it was a leading fancy for this race. I was on the right side of the price, and then the silly bugger went and had a schooling accident, which ruled him out. He won a couple of novice hurdles at Exeter and Chepstow. His course form is very good, actually, 3-1-1-1. And then he had a bit of an incident last year, and we haven't really seen him a lot, but I thought the comeback run was very, very promising. And he's won half of his races over fences. Hasn't trackled a trip like this, but I did like the third to Le Milos, who, of course, needs no introduction, really. That form looks pretty strong from Bangor the other week. I think they've been aiming him back at this. As long as he can avoid what was a very silly mistake he made at Wincanton last year. They give him a nice break over spring and summer. I think he'd be competitive in a race like this. If it did come up heavy, if he did have a cloudburst, it wouldn't worry me, but I think he'll go on this sort of ground. The stable are in very good form, the Harry Fry Yard. 3 winners from their last 8 runners. I think he's around a 9-1 chance with Billy Hills. And I think I'll have a point on the nose and Ask Me Early to recover losses from last year in what is a fairly competitive race. Others I quite liked in there with a big breakaway. You know, they've got the blinkers on him first time out. That might work. I thought he ran a promising race last time out. I'd be a little bit worried about the favourite, Quick Wave. All 4 of her career wins have come after an absence of at least 34 days. Might be coming back a little bit too quickly, but I'll go with a point win on Ask Me Early to take out the Welsh Grand National.
Yeah, good stuff that, and I think we can all. That's 9-1 for Andy Ask Me Early with William Hill. I think we can all have a little discussion about this race. Obviously, it's one of the major jumping races on the calendar, so why not have a look at this for listeners right now? I like Andy's. That was on my real short list. John mentioned Fortescue on the rival pod the other night. The ground's probably not going to be soft enough for Lord de Menil of Richard Hobson. So I like Andy's angle that'll turn the form around from Bangor on the good to soft, because Lord de Menil really does need it boggy. I thought the other interesting one might be Musical Slave. If you watched the running at Haddock last time behind Fontaine Collonges, he was doing some real nice late work there. And he's still very unexposed as a staying handicapper. He went off favourite or joint favourite, I think, did he, or second favourite to beat Hewick in the Bet365 Gold Cup at Sandown and ended up second there. That was a nice effort. He just looks quite progressive, even though he is 9. He just seems to be a late bloomer, and I do think there's possibly more to come from Musical Slave. Yes, Andy's was definitely towards the top of my list, as was Ben Clark's the Galloping Bear.
He deserves a win, this horse, didn't he? Because he got qualified, didn't he?
Well, that's it. When I always see an horse get disqualified for a banned substance, I think Mr. Ben Clark might have some nice carrots. It's just a case of administering them in the correct way. And don't forget, this is a trainer that is 16% overall and 31% over fences. So this is a chap that knows what he's doing with his rather small string. And that's an horse also that interests me. And I'm with Andy. I'd be taking on the Venetia horse, the Venetia mare, Quick Wave, because I do feel that this is far more competitive than the race she bolted up in at Sandown. John Lang. Hello. I was mentioning the other day at Fortescue. You like Fortescue, didn't you, in this?
Yeah, I did. I thought the run last time indicated that it was just about coming to peak form. I think the track and triple suit, a nice patient ride, get into it on the late on the second circuit. Yeah, I think this will be right up his alley, for want of a better phrase.
A bit of value at 20s, you'd say.
Yeah.
He's up there. If he's a lazy type, and he can be absolutely, scrubbed along, etc.
Well, they've got to get a win into him before the whip rolls come in, haven't they?
Yeah.
After that, he'll be getting a small piece of lead behind the left ear to improve his It might make a lot more of them, Will.
I know. Put that, Paul. These lazy types. I know. It's, I'm afraid.
You only be able to use the whip in the foreskin position.
Yes. Indeed. Right, on to me then to finish the round. Okay, I'm going to go in the King George, and I do love a bet in the King George, and it's probably, doing this for a living, you probably should say you shouldn't be just betting in a race for the sake of it. The King George is one of my favourite jumps races on the calendar. Always loved it as a boy with Desert Orchid, etc., etc. And for that,
boy?
Yes. Well, I was 16, 16-ish, 17-ish.
Mid-20s.
No, I can't have been. I can't have been. Bollocks. Bollocks, you, John. That's it. No Christmas dinner for you. Right. Right, anyway, you're going to like this, chaps. I'm sure you're going to like this. And the reason I say it is I can't believe the price, and I want you all to agree, and I hope we might get a klaxon, maybe, I don't know. But Royal Pagaille at 16-1 with Port Vale and Billy Mountains. What is this source rate? Kempton is going to ride very well. It's be soft on the chase track. It'll be absolutely desperate on the hurdles track. Despite John made a tweet this morning about Kempton's ground advertised as sort of soft. I think it'd be very soft. And Royal Pagaille. What's the difference between Lompressa's performance at Newcastle in the old rehearsal chase and what Royal Pagaille's done at Haydock, beating Sam Brown and giving absolutely massive lumps of weights to Sam Brown? I'd say Royal Pagaille's is the better weight carrying performance of the two. And yet one's at 16s and one's at 15.08. We're against, me and John have said before, we're against Brave Man's Game. I'm not a particular fan of Hitman. Envoy LN, I don't think I'll thoroughly get the trip in this sort of ground, because this will be a test with Frodon in the race. Brian Frost will go out at a good pace. I think Hoy Senor will press it. This is going to be a war of attrition. So what horse is best in here off a war of attrition? This is a Racing Post Chase winner in uber impressive fashion around this course as well. So it's not like Royal Pagaille's not going to act on the course. How on earth is this 16-1? With the ground gone as it is, I would put Royal Pagaille in at about a 6-1 chance. It's an official rating, chaps, of 163. Long Press is 170. £7. £7, and one's 15.08 and one's 16s. And you can ignore the last entry run, because that was its fourth run since late January. It had some hard races, Royal Pagaille. It was a good fifth in the Gold Cup. Nothing wrong with that. That form alone, that fifth in the Gold Cup, nearly wins this for me. So 16-1, chaps. What do we think?
Well, I'm already on, so
yes, that's what we like.
So you can start the old klaxon up now. I thought the fifth in the Gold Cup was good. The ground was too quick for it. He's got. If he does come up soft and heavy, and looking at those, John alerted to me that with his tweet this morning. The stick on the chase course reads 5.5, and the hurdles reads 4.8, and they had 20 mils yesterday. And they could get some more yet. His record on soft heavy ground reads 2-3 and 4 1s after that. Flat tracks is fine. Course and distance winner. His record at Grade 1 level is 6, a second, and 2 5s. And all those 4 runs actually came on good or soft ground. So he's never really had it, bog deep like he could do here in the Grade 1. I think he's overpriced. I'm not a massive fan of Brave Man's Game. I do like his stablemate Long Press, so I think he's a good horse.
Yes.
Hitman, question marks. Envoy Alan, not convinced about his jumping, and what else is in the field. So I think he's overpriced. Let's put it that way, which is the reason I backed him at 20s and 25s. So
yeah,
I'm on the right side of the price.
I'm so pleased they put him in, Andy. I'm so pleased that they decided this option.
Yeah,
the Welsh National.
I wasn't convinced that they were going to run him, but they obviously are taking a chance, because he was entered in the Roland Merrick and the Welsh National. But he's taking him out of both those and running him here. So smash on.
Yeah, loving that. So 16 to 1 roll per guy for me. It's going to be 1 point on the nose. If you've got a Sky Bet account, but that's been hammered now, 11 to 1 4 places, so that's not really much good. But yeah, I'd go on the nose with this. 16 to 1 on the nose, 1 point win. A good pace will suit, and this horse will pick them up easily, I think, if they've gone too hard on the front end, which is a possibility here. John, are you sort of in agreement with that?
I think the lovely Venetia has got this race by the cobblers.
Yeah, because the Fab's a lovely horse, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, from a value perspective, 9 runner failed this at 16 to 1. I don't think you can go far wrong. You know, I mean,
No.
I think it'll certainly be party time down at Venetia's on Boxing Days.
Will she leave her boots on, John?
Well, I tell you what, if I got an invite, I would abuse her like she would think I was a friend of the family.
There was an interview, weren't she, that with this recent, I can't remember. I saw a Racing Post article pop up saying that she's unmarried and that's why she's still making the effort, John.
I always like to say people making the effort.
I just love them comments from Venetia, just nonchalantly saying, yes, well, I'm unmarried and I like to make the effort. I think someone was commenting on her attire at the racecourse, and yeah, great comments from Venetia. Well, I'm unmarried, so one has to make the effort, John.
Indeed, one does.
Okay, round 2. So that's round 1. I hope you like that round 1. Some interesting selections there from all three of us. Well, I'm going to start with Andy this time for a 2-pointer.
Right, I'm going to Wetherby, and for a horse I highlighted in a column that I write each week for a website, and the horse is going to be Oscar Tyne, the 2:10 at Wetherby. I spotted this one running last time out when he ran at Cheltenham last time out, and it was given what I could only describe as a rather conservative ride. On a day when I think it's one of those days at Cheltenham where you needed to be on the sharp end. And, you know, on the whole, it was it was hard to come from off the pace, and unless you were incredibly well handicapped. It was the same day that Unanswered won the intermediate handicap hurdle there. That thing was absolutely thrown in. And the Fergal O'Brien yard have got this Oscar Tyne. They've inherited it from Gavin Cromwell. And he was given an awful lot to do, and he came. And if you look at the race and where he came from within that race, I think it was a really good run. I mean, he's relatively unexposed for his age. I think he's made a good start for a yard, which I'm always a big fan of. Came from a long way back. Tactics which were just really hard to pull off on the call over that course on that 3-day meeting. There was a slight note of caution that his best races have been run when he's been fresh, but they've given him a 46-day break. His record off a 50-plus day break reached 241,613. I'm not going to get too hung up on the sort of 4 days that he's had, the 4 days that I'm short here. But Oscar Tyne, I quite like in this race at Wetherby. It could be a good race. There's a couple of dangers in it as well, which I'm a little bit worried about. Thanks for your help and Rafferty's return. But Oscar Tyne, our friend in Port Vale, has got 5 to 1 up, and I think that is just too big. I can't see that 5 to 1 lasting. So I'll have a couple of points on Oscar Tyne at 5 to 1.
Good selection there from Andy. Oscar Tyne, anyone watching that will certainly sort of admire the.
If you watch all the races over those few days, there weren't that many that came from right off the pace.
Yeah.
It was really hard to do, and it was only something that was that Unanswered. It was incredibly well handicapped. It was Tony Martin horse, wasn't it? And that was about the only one that did. And I thought Oscar Tyne, and I think they're just trying to get used to it. I'd say I'm a little bit concerned about Thanks for your help, but the 5 to 1 is just. I mean, this could go off 7 to 2, 3 to 1.
Yeah, he's quite a nice bet this, and a good condition as well in Jack Hogan. And I also like your dangers as well, because Rafferty's return I watched at Wetherby, and definitely needed the run for me. And
I think he'll make a really nice chase of Rafferty's return.
Yeah, I think this is one of Rebecca Menzies better. I think she's got high hopes for this over Fences.
Yeah, another good card. Really good. Really, I like Bex's horses. They're really good. It's got a lot of nice horses here, but I think you'll make a nice chase. So thanks for your help. First time out for the pipes, isn't it? With the green and golds, you're never quite sure what you're getting there. But I just thought I price this up, Oscar time 7-2, 3-1, and it's 5s with Port Vale. So,
indeed,
if you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a good case, and it's a nice little race. This, so it's worth watching for future form as well. That's the 2:10 at Wetherby. That's Andy Richmond's 2-point win. Oscar Tyne at 5s. Okay, before we come to John to finish the round, I will chime in with my 2-pointer. On Boxing Day, I'm always tempted by an Irish handicap hurdle. I can't help it. It's like an addiction. It's like you go through them and you think, geez, what have you been doing? It's so fascinating to see some of these races, and you think, geez, right. So the selection here, it's 2-pronged. It's 1.5 points win one of them, and a 0.5 point saver on the other, because I don't want to leave the race empty-handed. So the 1.5 points win, it's owned by John Paul McManus, and that's the problem. This is in the 145 at Leopardstown. Sorry, I forgot to mention that 2-mile handicap hurdle, and very, very keen on this. This is quite astonishing handicapping. This is a horse that in 2020 and 2021 was rated was running to Racing Post ratings on the flat of 91, 90, 92. Had an official flat rating of 87. And then had the old three runs over the hurdles, and has got a mark of 105. And the last run was, I thought, was like so eye-catching. It was incredible. Really strong finisher behind Facile Vega, which is the supreme novice strong favourite. The second horse, and Me of Gordon Elliott's, that prior to that was like sort of like a really decent point-to-pointer. Decent point-to-point form. The fourth horse, Smooth Player of Gordon Elliott's, that was fourth to the Nice Guy in a bumper prior to that. So this was a smart race, and you can tell with the sort of like principles in there. This is going to be a smart race. So Wild Dollar, how on earth has this got 105 for Eddie and Patrick Harty, Simon Torrens in the saddle? Right, this is a monstrous price. Currently, I believe 18-1. I'm just going to check that just to verify that I'm not seeing things. But yes, Wild Dollar 18-1 with Paddy's and Betfair. It's in the JP second colours. There are dangers with this that this might not be busy. He might go with his other one, whatever. But to be honest, I watched Changing the Rules. That's his other one. And that, to me, whilst that's probably still got a bit of leeway from the mark, this has got to have more leeway from 105. It's miles better than 105 on the last run alone for me. I think that's so underestimated. So Wild Dollar is a very interesting perk for me, and I'm going to take the chance that JP is going to say, look, it's Christmas. We're gonna have the handbrake off them all. So 18s for me with Paddy Power and Betfair, and the saver is a horse called Brookie at 9-2, generally available. Tony Martin horse, that's definitely well above its mark. The favourite at 7-4 in the race, Low Style, that's gone up £14 for its last win, which is probably justifiable. But £14 is £14. It's a stone, and I just believe there's a few in here that still have a lot of leeway from the marks, whereas Low Style, if you've gone up a stone, you're probably going to need another stone in hand to beat these. So 7-4 doesn't interest me. Brookie of Tony Martins does at 9-2. I think that the way that travels through its races, that's got a lot more to come, and that's my 0.5 point saver at 9-2. So that's me for the second round. John Joe Lang to finish us off for round 2.
Do you remember the Christmas film Scrooge starring Bill Murray?
Yeah, you love that one because he's a right miserable bastard.
Yeah, I particularly like the bit where Carol Kane came in as the ghost of Christmas past and kicked the living shit out of him. We've got the ghost of Neville Ender past rearing his head. I'm going to do a bit of split stake wankering. It's in the 135 at Wetherby, which is the Roland Merrick. And the main selection is Into Overdrive, who I thought put up a cracking effort last time behind what is possibly the King George winner.
Yeah.
Keeping on in taking fashion from the last. The ground will ensure this is a thorough test at the trip, and I think that will suit this improver. He's only up £4 for that effort. And a lot of those he takes on here look quite exposed. Now, the one that might not be entirely exposed for me is Fanny and Destraval, Venice's horse, who I think will be more suited to this than the school round he had a month ago. The yard remains in rattling form, and I think despite the steadier of 12 stone, I think he's worth the saver. So what I'd like to do is go 1.5 points win into overdrive, 0.5 point win for Fanny and Destraval.
No, you've played it similar to me there, John, with the 2 pointers, and nothing wrong with that. So that's 1.5 points win into overdrive. That's 11-2 Sky Bet, Paddy Power, Betfair, Bet Victor, Betfred, and Spoil Sports. This is a 135 at Wetherby, the Roland Merrick, which is a very competitive affair, and he's also gone for 0.5 points on Fanny and Destraval, 10-1 Paddy's, Mountains, 888 Coral, Unibet, basically generally available for John. And I do like we mentioned this on, I think it was the sermon in the review, and we said about the Newcastle form will be very strong because of long press, because into overdrive, probably one of the leading fancies, something like Kim Muir, maybe at the festival. You know, I think he's quite prominent in the betting for that. Quotes I've seen. So into I can't argue with that, John, at all. A great race though. This is a really, really good one to watch. Shamblu, he's obviously still kind of, I suppose, unexposed, but I get where you're coming from in this. So good way to finish round 2. Okay, round 3, I'll kick us off this time. We'll go to Fontwell. We love Fontwell. Yes, we love a Fontwell bet. And this is a good thing. But again, Andy likes his in running bets on this. 12:32 race. Horse of Anthony Honeyball's Norton Hill. Steps up heavily in trip to 3.25 miles. This is I hate these cliches, but it is one of these sort of embryonic chasers. It's a lovely type. This, if you could take one home. You know, I sound
it over hurdles a bonus.
I sound like Adele Mulrennan, don't I? Yeah, anything it does over, all this rubbish. Anyway, give it time. You know, another year to strengthen
more
it.
of the big black ones.
Yeah. Anyway, Norton Hill 9-2. It's 3 points on the nose for me with Paddy Power Betfair. This will probably go off, I would imagine, unless they go in the other way, 7 or 4-5. This will be hammered. It's the trip for me. They've campaigned this at the wrong trip. It's from Jack Barber, who wasn't great, if we're being perfectly frank, as a trainer. You know, not an amazing strike rate, anything like that. And I think, now it's with the Honey Monster. They ran it at 2 mile 2 last time at Exeter, and it just was. You could see 3 out. It was so outpaced. He just couldn't. And if you'd have said 3 out, this is going to finish third. You'd have just laughed at anyone that's like done a place lay, sort of 3 out. Yeah, well, I've laid it in the place, fantastic. You're paying out. It finished so strong. The time before, it was Fontwell 2 miles behind Teddy Blue. The time before that, 2-3 at Taunton. It ran second to Ready Day Woman over 2.5 at Wincanton. Again, if you watch the closing stages at Wincanton, watch how it's nice and strong in the finish over 2.5. So first time over 3-2 against, I would say, quite ordinary opposition. There's nothing really that hidden in here that I'm worried about. I'd expect this to win and win well. And if they don't win this, I think they're in trouble, because a mark of 110, I think, is really, really exploitable. So Norton Hill for me, 3 points on the nose at 9-2, and that is a very, very good bet.
That's a fucker of a race, isn't it, really? I mean,
yeah.
Just looking down at that, I mean, horses with gear. There's more gear than Pete Doherty's dressing room.
There's not a lot in here that's there's not a lot in here that
wind ups, cheap pieces.
Yeah.
That's fuck, mate.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't be surprised if Norton Hill comes off it at halfway or some point. If you're looking for a pricing, if it gets hammered into 7-4, then just wait until the race.
Around there, it's going to look like Balaclava at the finish, isn't it?
Yeah, it's bred for this as well. It's from a family estate, so I'm excited for this bet. I think Norton Hill is an absolute good thing. Okay, I'm gonna leave Andy till last, so I'm gonna go Jonas second.
Right, people who think I shouldn't be tipping over the sticks because it's akin to asking Fred Dibner to do a vajazzle job on Kylie.
Where does he get these from?
Basically, I have put a bit into this. And this is in the 125 at Newcastle.
Ooh, you've got one, haven't you?
Which, on the face of it, this looks a fairly shit heat, to be honest. Now then, Arctic Row should have been beaten Park Hill Dancer on debut in a point-to-point. I've been looking at point-to-point form.
Yes.
But the rider mistook the winning post a furlong out. And then he's been brought into training by the team Hemmings. Norm trained the half-brother, so knows the family. He was only 10-1 for his debut in a bumper at Ayr on the Grill's debut, which I watched. Now, he clearly choked after travelling all right. He's had a wind-up, and the benefit of that showed next time at Newcastle when he travelled into the race like the best horse in the race. If you watch it back, on the crown of the bend, he made tremendous ground. He thought he's coming out to piss it. Only to weaken when lack of hard fitness told. And I can buy into that, having come off a wind-up. I think, looking at the time scale and that, they'd have been doing well to have him hard fit. Now, thinking that race might have put an edge on him, he can go close in a heat as bad as this. I've got the race down to 5 possibles. So 33-1 has to be value here. He's a nice sort. He's still a bit on the weak side. He's quite tall in front. He'll thicken up a bit. He's open to improvement. 1.5 each way. I'm very, very keen on this. He could go off 100-1 and have a shunt round the back, but I don't see why you would after he'd shown something last time.
That's a big price. Now, 33-1. This is with the Port Vale. Yeah, I mean, I see your point, John. I'm going through it, but geez, I mean, it's like you say, if it's off, that's the big thing, isn't it?
You know, I mean, watch the betting, folks. I'm having to tip this 48 hours before.
Yeah.
You know, use your noddles. If it takes the walk of walks, well,
if it's 120s, sort of like 5 minutes before the off, you kind of know what they're doing. Yeah.
But you know,
as well, it's a good one to stick in everyone's trackers as well, because, like you say, you've spotted one that, like, for the future, etc., etc.
Can I help you out with a little stat there?
Yes, please.
This might embellish a little bit more. Nick Alexander, second run after a wind-up, is 7 from 27.
Wow.
Now, there's been some bigger priced horses that have finished placed as well. 50s, 33s, 16s, 14s, 9-1. Now, you know how much I hate strike rates. But that is a 25% strike rate. But I prefer to look at the percentage runners beaten figures and the winners above expected figure, which is a much better calculation. And I wish the racing channels would start bloody well doing that, because it's just some simple statistics which puts stats in context. But the winners above expected is 4.46. You make 12 points at SP backing them all. But I think John's case that is each way there, that a lot of them have finished in the frame, second run back after wind-up. And the last 2 horses that Nick Alexander has run, second run back after wind-up, Warrior Story and Elvis Mail, both this year have both won at 7-2 and 9-4. So there's a
I think the race is that thin, Andy. I think it's going to have to be a fairly obvious strangle job to keep him out.
I actually looked at it. I've written a sort of long, been through all the races and wrote a long list of potential best bets before we got it down to the 3. Hopefully there's a few on here. And Lee's Norton Hill was certainly on that. And it's 3rd of 11 last time out, was very eye-catching. And Arctic Row was on the list, partly because of the Nick Alexander stat that I've just embellished.
That's a good stat, because as well, you look at it, it's owned by Trevor Hemmings, the late Trevor Hemmings, is it the ex-horse of Trevor Hemmings? I don't know. I don't know if they're continuing whatever.
I think it is. I think it still runs in those colours.
Yeah, the Trevor Hemmings.
Yeah.
And these are not gambling connections. So the only way that usually when trainers sort of like stop them or get a mark is obviously when you've got gambling owners or connections. obviously there's going to be no gambling owners or connection. The trainer will have call on this.
Well,
how
the kid could have sat where he was last time. He didn't need to make that ground up turn into the straight at Newcastle.
No.
You know, he could have sat where he was and nobody would have batted an eyelid.
No, I love out the box stuff like this. It's kind of what makes our selection pod really, because everyone can just sit there and tip fabs or fancied runners, and I think
that's it. I mean, I was thinking about King George's and things like that, and I thought, well, fucking hell, I mean, most of the time they don't need a marker on races where they know everything about everything, So I thought, well,
it's interesting for people's trackers as well. So. Great stuff from John. We love it. We love a 33-01 from John there with Port Vale for his 1.5 each way, 3 places. I hope that comes in for him. Right, Andy finishes off.
Right, it's not going to be particularly out of the box, this one, apart from the long list, but I had to go with this one because I really do think it's ahead of the handicapper. 2:00 at Newcastle, a Tom Lacey horse. Tom Lacey does very well with his runners. His runners in handicap hurdles. Operation Manor won very easily at Chepstow last time out. In fact, it's only been beaten once, and that was by Monvielle, who absolutely hacked up in an Ascot handicap of 120. Very decent bumper horse. The form last time out doesn't look great overall, but it's just the way it ran. Tom Lacey's got a good record when he follows up in second time in handicap hurdles as well. I thought Operation Manor, he won by 5 lengths last time out. Reminds me of another horse of his, which he had very, very similar profile, a horse called Lossymouth, who won very, very similar horse as him. And he won with another horse like this called Pounding Poet as well. He's quite good at setting up sequences of him, so I'm going to go 3 points on the nose with Lossymouth, and if you can get on with the Port Vale firm, then
you mean Operation Manor? You just said Lossymouth.
Oh, did I? Sorry.
Yeah.
Lossymouth. Operation Manor, I mean, yeah, I've got Lossymouth on the brain. I do think he's quite a nice horse as well. If you can get on Operation Manor at the 9-4 with the Port Vale firm, I think it's another one that is overpriced. And whilst we're on the horses that people have mentioned already, Into Overdrive was also on my short list as well. I did think that was it is a particularly nice horse as well. And I saw 11-2 with Sky Bet, 5 places. That is ridiculous. If you can get that, I'd go and take it to give some backup to John's selections. Not that he needs it, but there we go. But 3 points on the nose. Operation Manor, 9-4. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, I love that. Tom Lacey really likes it. On his blog on Cottage Field Stables. You can pay to charity and stuff and get his thoughts. He really does like this horse, and I think Trip's the key. I think eventually, when this goes over 3 mile, it'll find even more improvement.
I thought the two main rivals in it as well probably needed a bit further.
Yeah,
he's the more sort of versatile horse. In fact, looking at the colours, I think it's the same colours as Lossymouth Running. Actually,
it is.
It is. Yeah, but
it is. Lady Cobham.
Big. I thought this was sort of 15-8, 7-4 territory.
Yeah. So have we got 9-4 available? Yeah, 9-4 again with Port Vale for Andy's 3-point nap. I like that. I recommend our listeners have some luckies with what you like from our selections there. I do. I like them all. Honestly, I come into Boxing Day confident every year and do my brains. Maybe this one's different, but yeah, I do like our selection. So I think luckies and Yankees and multiples are the order of the day for a busy Boxing Day. You can then sit and relax with family, watch any football, watch the racing.
And if we get proper lucky, we can pack this in.
Absolutely, yeah. No, account will get frozen, your money will get frozen. It'll take you 2 years to get it out. British racing today.
Get your bank statements out.
Yes, get your bank statements out.
I mean, that's it, really. It's kind of took the gloss off Boxing Day, hasn't it? You know, I mean, for me, really, the Gambling Commission, they've come in all heavy-handed and they've ruined it for people trying to make a living punting, and even the recreational punters, you know, I mean, the way they've come in. And I think it's a bit much. I mean, I don't go into their place of work and knock the sailors' cocks out of their mouths.
don't think they do any work, John. I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a message this morning from a decent punter that listens to this show, and I was shocked actually. He said that Santander, the bank, are now, if you place a gambling transaction with Santander, I presume it's a significant deposit. Judge on the chap that messaged me, probably would be a significant deposit. They then ask for proof, or they want to see evidence of where this money's come from. So, for example, if say a relative nudge has transferred 10,000 into your Santander, you then put, I don't know, 5,000 of it into Betfair. Santander then asks you where this, you know, they want to see evidence of the chain, if you like, or where this 5,000 has come from. So I think we can see the kind of game that everyone's going to be playing going forwards. This is more for a sermon, but yeah, it's sort of troubled times we're in, and we need to sort of like kind of make hay while we can, and that's why I'm thinking Luckies and Heinzes, and we want winning Heinzes and stuff like that on Boxing Day.
No Union Jack on them now, couldn't you?
Yeah, I used to love the bonuses on them, especially
Union Jack patent. There you are.
Yeah, I used to love the Union Jacks for the fives on shots on the football until they curbed that. They gave an 100% bonus, and then you just used to wait for the European matches in the midweek and then stick all the fives on shots in for the 100% bonus. And I never got one of them up either. Just how it is, isn't it? There we go. You're on value, but I didn't eat it. Right, let's go on to the TV races for Boxing Day. It's quite sparse, to be fair, but then again, less can be more sometimes. But then again, with ITV coverage these days, it probably isn't, because they don't talk about betting. But we're going to go to the 12:45 at Kempton, which is the Ladbrokes long walk hurdle. A disgrace switching from Ascot. It's always Ascot is the long walk. You know, what's this rammel and rubbish? You know, I mean, you know, it should be kept at Ascot. I don't like it at Kempton. Anyway, Champ's favourite at 2-1. Miranda, second favourite at 7-2. Goshen, friend of the show, 4-1. Paisley Park 9-2. Not so sleepy at 11s. Chaps, what are we thinking?
It's unbelievable this, but I'm a little bit sweet on Goshen, believe it or not. I think the thing that starts swinging me towards him, he's racing against what looks like a pensioners' glee club. The Triumph Hurdle can throw winners, and he was the moral winner, wasn't he? That are suited to extreme distance on occasion. This might, and I emphasise the word might, be the making of him. And I think, given the likely price and given the paucity of the opposition, or the age of the opposition in the main, I think it might be worth giving him a little spin up here.
Well, before I'm going to put this to Andy, right? Now, Andy, I thought Champ and Paisley Park had a very hard race at Newbury. We know that the ground at Kempton is going to be, I could imagine, very gluey and very tested. Now, I could see a couple of bounces, you know, maybe one, might not be two bounces, but at least one bounce out of those pair that had that battle royale up the straight at Newbury, which was great watching. And John's might have got a case here that this ground will be deep, and Goshen loves it deep, really deep. And it could just be the making of him stepping up in trip. What do we think?
It could be. The one I was hoping would be a bit shorter was Paisley Park, because I definitely think this is not his course. He's going to hit flat spots galore around here. He'll go and win and grind it out, but I really don't think it's particularly his course. 9-2 at the moment on a very thin Betfair market. You know, it's probably a bit too big to be start playing around that. I noticed Mr. Icy, on a friend of the show on the Twitter, has been making a very good case for Miranda, which you can do. It's not a particularly beguiling or race that I want to get particularly involved in. I respect John's views on Goshen, although I think I'd probably rather go and let the dog in if I had one than bet in this race. If I was doing anything, I'd be having a small lay to back on Paisley Park. But I'm quite happy to watch the race, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm in your camp, but it's interesting what you kind of boost me to take on Paisley Park. I think what you've said there, because I was also thinking the same. I fancy one of these two to bounce. That was a real tough race.
It was.
They were all out, literally, and I mean out on the floor. That was them all in. They were all in. They've got the adrenaline rush of the all in when you've gone in at poker. You're all in and you're sweating on the four queens against the four jacks. So it's an interesting take. But do you know what? If I was playing, I agree with you, Andy. It's probably one to sit out. But I know I'm with Johnny. I think if I had to do something, it might be Gershon. Which is weird because we've been terrible. We've been terrible to this horse, and the owner Stephen Packer. But I mean, if he doesn't listen to this show because obviously we're idiots. But if he did, he'd be horrified what we've said about.
If you listen to this show, he'd stop listening to
it. He would, yeah. Anyway, the 120, the Kowtow Star, which is the old name Feltham, which I prefer. Kowtow Star was a legend, but I loved it when it called it the Feltham. It's a great novel.
Did Feltham win?
Don't know, no idea.
No, don't know.
Can't tell you. I mean, I was dreading it the other night when they were doing the quiz because I'm shit at racing quizzes. I can't.
That quiz was deeply bent anyway, wasn't it?
Yeah. Andy, what are you like at racing quizzes?
Pretty good. Depends.
I can imagine. Yeah, but you're more of a sponge. You absorb. You're an absorber.
Yeah. But the problem was, Andy, the questions were like to me and Lee, what's the chemical formula for Martini Bianco? And they were asking themselves, what's your favourite colour?
Well, you will play with the Irish Gypsy Fair.
Yeah, you can't do that. You can't do that.
They've had you over. They've seen you coming.
Yeah.
They've had you right over.
Yeah, pants are down.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Kowtow Star, McFabulous is 13-8 favourite. Gallia de Lito is 3-1 for Dan Skelton. Gelino Bello 7-2. Time Hill, that Andy has commented on this show before and rightfully said that Time Hill cannot jump fences, and he's totally spot on. And I'm amazed to see Andy. I'm amazed to see Time Hill yet again over fences.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's just one of those horses you thought would be better over fences and just doesn't seem to want to jump.
He doesn't take a cut. He's gutless.
Yeah, I quite like the mare in this. That Gallia de Lito. I was quite impressed with her run at Bangor. It's one of those sort of tricky races, isn't it? You don't really want to. It sounds a bit of a bottle out that you don't want to have you don't have to have a bet. You don't have to have a bet, do you? And I would favour her just for the want of, not for the want of giving a selection, but I just think she, getting a bit of weight off them, and think she might actually be quite a decent animal. But it wasn't a race I had a strong opinion on, apart from not back in Time Hill. Probably place lay. There you go.
Yeah, no, she's a strong mare.
I'm sure there's three better jumpers there than he is.
Yeah, absolutely. It's Time Hill. I think it's amazing placing really to have another go. They put pieces on him first time. As if to say he's not concentrating, he's not putting it in. But basically, he's just not a natural jumper.
No.
And it shows you how thick trainers are. This could bite me on the arse, but this is what we're here to do: give predictions. We're not here to sit on the fence like some podcasts will do. This is Time Hill won't be winning this. I did say that about Frodon when Catherine Fry tipped Frodon up to win a King George on this very show 2 years ago. So remember that. I am a terrible judge. But Fabulous, I think that's all right. Fav. Gallia de Lito jumped a little bit. She's a big mare. I'm very taken by her physically. But she did jump a bit left. But I do love this mare's allowance in National Hunt Racing. £7. It's a lot of weight. And in that ground, again, the ground's come right for it. It was heavy at Bangor.
Form's been franked as well, the second one since.
Yes.
Latest race. But she did win 9 lengths. As you say, I thought she was pretty impressive. Certainly deserves a chance at this level.
Yeah, just concern me. She just edged to her left at some fences, and that kind of just worries me around here. She keeps doing that, and if that becomes more marked in a race, But then that's the way it is. John, what do we think here?
I like Gelino Bello. I'm not so fussed on the jockey upgrade, but I think I'm given the likely ground and the likelihood of getting a softie, I think, as well. I think this will take a bit of beating, to be honest. At 72.
He's. I mean, let's be right here. He's a very good horse. I mean, this is an horse that has ran some belters over hurdles, round about the 140 mark. Nothing amazing, but has looked decent. Even though he's had nothing to beat, he's done it well so far. He's done everything right.
Yeah, I've been impressed with him actually.
Yeah, he's basically he's a staying chaser, a real good staying chaser. He'll get further than this as well, Gelino Bello. Yeah, I can't fault that. But we're again, I think the consensus then against Time Hill. We do like the mare. McFabulous is the right 5, a bit short though, so we can't put McFabulous at that. But yeah, that's a summing up there. I'll start us off with the Christmas hurdle, then the 155. I'm convinced, absolutely convinced, that Constitution Hill. I'm trying to look for markets on this because I don't think Constitution Hill will beat Epperton anywhere near as easy as he did last time. And the reason I say this is because Kempton is not the place really for, I'd say, blasting off and making all round there. It does suit held up runners. You can go through over time. Horses held up at Kempton do rather well. And Highway 102 will probably bomb off in front for Chris Gordon, the hundreds pub. Constitution will probably take a nice lead, but I don't think Epperton jumped bad at Newcastle. She made a real mess of some hurdles, and the winning distance there was rather flattering, I thought, at 12 lengths. So whatever, I'd be looking at distance markets for that. I'd be thinking, I don't think Constitution Hill beats Epperton as far as at Newcastle around Kempton. Thoughts on this, chap?
I think Metier will be second on shit ground.
Oh yeah, well, an interesting point. Yeah, so that's it. Maybe sell the distances on Constitution Hill. I mean, we all know Blogger will be buying them, so we can go on the other side and for the good guys. Andy Richmond, thoughts?
Yeah, it wasn't a race I spent an awful lot of time on, really, with the plethora of other decent races that there are around. Take your comments on board on Constitution. Will they want to give it a hard race in the likelihood this is probably the last time we're going to see Constitution Hill before Cheltenham?
Popeye might walk the track and surf up there.
Well, he might.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's like
it's heavy.
It's heavy ground. We don't want to give him a hard race on heavy ground, and this is what Popeye's become. It's one that he's thinking this will be a cakewalk, but then if the going, it's 4.9 at the minute. If that goes to 4.6 or whatever, come post time, or he walks the track and Nico says, "Oh, it's terrible ground, boss, terrible ground." Then Nicky unzips his trousers and Constitutional's withdrawn.
Everybody's ships.
I just want to see that hat again.
Yes. No, it won't though. It's got warmer now. It's got warmer. Yeah.
Apparently he was wearing that hat because the last haircut he got that breaking up a knife side.
I don't know where you get these from, but listeners love it. We all love it. Anyway, anyway, we'll sum up the Christmas hurdle. Andy's not much interest, but John likes Metier on the deep ground, like for a bit of a value poke. He'll probably, I could see John like trying all sorts, 3 play, all sorts, 5 places, everything in there. Whatever markets are on offer. But I would look at the distance markets because I'm not so sure that Constitution will be more dominant than what he was at Newcastle. And besides, anyway, like what we've said, I don't think Henderson will want this horse all out quarters and drawn. It'll be just a case that if we can hack up and just canter in on the running and win by 4, they'll take that and not on extended. So I would look at selling the distances. I think that could be a good value bet. Right, King George, which we've touched on in the best bets round, pretty much summed it up. Royal Pagaille looks the value. We all like Long Press. Andy doesn't like Brave Man's Game, like me and John don't. We sort of summed that up. So we don't. What about just let's talk about Hoy Senor. What's gone wrong with him?
He's fucking crackers.
There we go. I think, yeah, that's that, yeah. Peter Scudamore, Luke's in the Russell, if you're listening. Your horse is fucking crackers. Andy Richmond.
I think I'm happy with where I am on it. Ahoy, Senor. It just seems to be, the archetypal two ways of running, didn't he? When he's good, he's very good. And when he's bad, he's very bad. It was just a little bit free that first time out, wasn't he? I don't know. I wouldn't be backing him round here. Let's put it that way.
Somebody said this morning Blakey had tipped him up. Well, I thought they must have brought that fucker back from on the buses.
Good old Kevin Blake. Anyway. I don't know. It was my Blakey impression.
It sounded like Neverlander's sick horse.
Dirty Neverlander. He's now become the gambling northern trainer on this show. He's putting this show to shame. We'll try and get him on next week to give him some abuse. Right, okay, we'll switch codes then to ITV meeting, which is the Roller Merrick, the 135 at Wetherby. Shamblu 2-1 favourite. John Lang and Andy Richmond have spoke very favourably on Into Overdrive. We like the rehearsal form. Let's go through a couple of other runners just for listeners. Shamblu is a very well-backed horse. Could be well enough 148, Andy.
It could be. Just in the back of my head is what happened last time. We were actually there last time when he capsized, weren't we?
Yes, yes.
I was actually watching that race from the comms box with the excellent Gareth Topham, who was calling that race. He was miles clear and then to capsize. I mean, they're giving him a long time off. I mean, as you say, he's still well handicapped. I always wonder whether falls like that actually leave a mark on horses.
They can do.
Ticks away in the back of my head, and as I say, Into Overdrive and the other one that John put up, the Venetia horse, Fanny and Destraval at the top, were the two that interested me as well.
Do you not think though that people are automatically assuming Shamblu's well handicapped, and yet those subsequent efforts after Wetherby, Wetherby, they were all saying, "Whoa, he was going to piss up, he was going to run 165 and all this." The two subsequent efforts wouldn't have indicated that he is actually well handicapped because he didn't really improve on his mark.
Yeah, maybe it's come from the trainer. The trainer as well has said that.
Yeah,
he said back in November, he said he was thinking about the King George for him.
Yeah, but Joseph Raffles that day at Wetherby was running like a piece of shit, to be fair, wasn't he? Was he running at 152 that day? I think not.
Probably not. He probably overrated form.
You definitely haven't missed him at tilt one in the market.
Kitty's Light was second, obviously well beat by Shamblu at the time, but Kitty's Light is probably he's currently at 137, probably a 140 horse. So he's a case.
If he goes and ponces up, fair enough, I'll stand corrected. But as I say, on the strength of the two subsequent runs, I think 2-1 is really fucking narrow myself.
Sounds rushed.
I mean, the horse isn't short of speed, is he? And if it comes up fairly deep at Wetherby, and I know you had a lot of rain up that way, yesterday, Lee?
Yes, lots of it. It will be soft. I guarantee anyone that's playing Wetherby, it will be soft ground.
I know it was a long way clear within that particular race when he took that tumble, but he's not short. I mean, if you look at his two subsequent runs, he doesn't look short of speed to me, this horse. And I know he's finished second, obviously, last time out, when we last saw him at Aintree to Sam Brown. He was beaten 15 lengths.
Yeah.
Okay, giving him what? There was only a pound difference in that. So I just wonder whether he might actually be better slightly shorter, and whether some of these will just have a little bit too much stamina for him. Again, it's a price thing for me. I just think at twos he's a little bit too short.
I agree. And do we all agree Chancery House is a bit jadey, a bit?
Yeah.
I think we can all agree on that.
The other horse I really like in the race is Sounds Russian.
Glad you've said that.
I think he's a really nice horse. And obviously the one I'd love to see win would be I Right, but he pulled up last time out and couldn't really back him. But I'd love to see him win because I've always liked the horse enormously. It's a decent race. I mean, Zanza gives a bit of
He does, yes.
depth, but he's gone up £10 for that win last time out. Not sure that form is as strong as it sort of visually it looks strong, but you're on paper it's
and bear in mind Zanza prior to the last two starts he's ran well, but prior to that he was looking very jaded. And he was resenting the game prior to the last two runs.
Yeah,
they put the blinkers on.
I think that race might have just panned out quite nicely for him.
Yeah, and the £10 against these. I mean, these are a different kind of fish.
This is a very much a sort of step up, and they should go a decent pace here as well. You've got horses like Topville, Topville Ben in the race. I Right likes to get on with it. It should be a strongly run race. So I think at the prices, the two that John has flagged up are both very, very sound selections. I'd love to see Sounds Russian run well again. I don't think he ran particularly well last time out, although that Many Clouds race might turn out to be quite decent. If, 4th to 6th, he wasn't beaten that far in, honestly, and I think they were sort of trying him out. I still think he's a horse who can win races of this ilk.
Yes. Right. To finish the search, any other business over the holiday period? Have you any sort of like spots or like anything
you want? Few bits and pieces.
Go for it, Andy.
We're on my sort of potential best bets list. The 305 is at Kempton, that novice handicap chase. Very good race for 6-year-olds. Unfortunately, there's blooming loads in it. But I did quite like Don Alvaro, who steps up in class, but he's a very good jumper. The Wincanton 128, bit of a strange one, this. But Paul Nichols, with horses he puts on cheek pieces first time out that have finished out of the first 3 last time out. He's got a good record with the Milan Bridge would qualify. Market Raise and a couple of bits there. The 140 Whistle in the Dark, Laura Morgan, when she takes horses into handicap chases first time out off of handicap hurdles run, she got a good run, good record there. Whistle in the Dark would qualify. Thought Jet Plane in the old Lincolnshire National, certainly worth a poke there. The 1250 at Newcastle, Rocco Storm. Thought he ran a nice race last time out. Watch the betting there. There's one of those vac pouch horses in there, McGarry.
Hey!
Be interesting to see which way he goes. And Fontwell, down at sunny Fontwell, 327. Blue Shark and Mr. Jack. Mr. Jack is really well handicapped off 100. Blue Shark won last time out. And 147 at Huntingdon. One to keep an eye on. I'm not quite sure how you say this. I think it's Izati. Ran a very eye-catching race for Neil King, whose stable were horribly out of form last time out. It's a very competitive 0 to 110. I'm sure there'll be winners come out of this, but keep an eye. It's the bottom weight it's got in there, Izati. It's spelled Izayte. Ran a very eye-catching race in a novice last time out.
Yeah, did. I watched it. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I did. I've actually got that in my notes. Yeah, you're right. It's one of them. But it's Max Kendrick there.
But for a 0 to 110, that's a very competitive race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John, Max Kendrick in the saddle like boozing with the Ginger Hitler, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's just, you want a good night out and you want to booze up and you think this is good, and then he turns up and it's like pussy.
Is the Ginger Hitler?
He's wanting to come back on, John, isn't
he? Yeah. He was making overtures the other night about getting back on. I said the requests have dried up. Nobody wants you.
He loves the King George as well, does the Ginger Hitler. Anyway, right, we're gonna wrap this up, and we wish every single Bar Stewards listener brilliant Christmas. And for those of you that don't like this time of year, also, that maybe struggle or with this time it's rubbish, we also think of you as well, because it's not always a happy time of year for many. We wish you a great Boxing Day. Great Boxing Day's punting, because this is what this show's about. And we'll be back soon with our next show, which will be next Friday, covering the next weekend's racing. So that's all from me, Andy Richmond, and John Lang. A very Merry Christmas. That's all from us. Bye for now.